I cannot believe it is already day 28 of our advent calendar. We're nearing the end. Let's see what we got today. My sister has an issue with my wife's assistant's dog. Well, dogs over humans on this channel, so if you got beef with a dog, you better take it up with me first. Do I look scary in my Daisy sweater? Probably not. This story was first posted June 20th, 2024. My wife and I live in a different state to my family. However, we often travel back to my home state for special family occasions, birthdays and Christmas, for example. My wife is a 22-year military veteran, and when she was discharged, it was medically. She has been diagnosed with PTSD, anxiety, and depression, and has spent several stints in psychiatric hospitals, one of which was 4 months. She was prescribed an assistance service dog who we have trained up under the supervision of a registered organization, and she, we'll call her Daisy, is formally qualified and documented. She goes pretty much wherever we go, including interstate flying in the cabin of the plane with my wife, in an ambulance to the hospital, and also was interned with her at the psychiatric units. My family are all well aware of this and mostly supportive. However, the last time we visited for my niece's 21st birthday, I was questioned by both my sister and my niece about whether Daisy was accompanying, I don't know what's happening, but a switch is going off and it's not the right one. My wife to the party, which I responded that she was, as my wife really struggles in loud, crowded environments. There was about 80 people there and loud music together in one room. My niece suggested several reasons why Daisy shouldn't go. Loud music, balloons, lots of people, which I assured her Daisy was fine with. And they already know this, being very familiar with Daisy's very calm temperament. My sister then spoke to me after my niece did and also said similar things. Not outright saying it, but heavily suggesting that it would be better if Daisy didn't attend. I just said if my wife feels that she needs her, she will be attending. Sometimes my wife has been able to do small things without her, but never big events like parties, even shopping centers and restaurants. Daisy comes with her. Anyway, the party came and went. My wife had to take 4 Valiums to cope, but managed to sit through the evening with Daisy by her side at her feet at the table. Other people throughout the evening went over to talk to her, and most didn't even notice that Daisy was there. For myself, I am used to my wife's conditions, and I knew that although she was struggling, she was coping and even enjoying talking to people at times. I danced the night away, periodically sitting down beside my wife and checking in. After the party was over, we had a few days at my sister's house where the topic of her son's impending wedding was coming up. Again, I was asked by my sister if my wife would be taking Daisy. I again said yes, more than likely, for the same reasons as the 21st. Lots of people, loud noises, crowded environment. Again, it was inferred that the event wouldn't be suitable for Daisy. The tables were really crowded, lots of people. Plus, my sister suggested that if my wife didn't have Daisy, she would be able to get up and dance. Before my wife had her breakdown, she was not a dancer, and now with her anxiety, there is no way she would be comfortable out on a dance floor. I was so taken aback, I didn't even know how to respond. My wife heard my sister talking to me, and so she suggested she only go to the ceremony and then skip the reception to avoid my sister getting stressed out about her dog. My sister snapped. They're at the same venue, then softened it with, "Of course we want you to come." Both my wife and I felt very uncomfortable and kept reassuring my sister that Daisy would be fine, as she has been taught to sit under my wife's chair out of the way. It felt like the concerns raised weren't genuine concerns, but just a way to feel like Daisy was unwelcome. We flew back home, and not long after this is where I may be the a-hole. We woke up the next morning and the first words out of my wife's mouth were, "Maybe me and Daisy should just stay home for the wedding and you go by yourself so I don't stress your sister out by taking Daisy." I feel so bad for her. It's taken such a long time for her to feel comfortable going out in public, and Daisy has been an instrumental part of that. And now my family were making it feel like she wasn't welcome with her assistant's dog. I reassured her, but later in the day, I rang my sister and I told her what my wife said, and that perhaps more care could be taken to make sure my wife wasn't left feeling that her conditions were not being considered. I told her that my wife said that perhaps she shouldn't go to avoid stressing her out, and my sister just said, yeah, and? To which I replied that she had been prescribed a dog for a reason, and without her dog, my wife would likely not go anywhere like she used to. My wife said that she was better last time that she was down. She didn't take her everywhere. I explained that mental health goes up and down. Last time she was doing a bit better. However, she had just been sick and was put on medication that messed with her regular meds, and so was only just coming out of that. As I reminded my sister, the last time we didn't really go out apart from a restaurant, to which Daisy also came. I just feel like I'm constantly trying to prove my wife's medical conditions. Even her PTSD has been questioned as, my sister's words, she didn't go to Afghanistan. She even had her best friend question me about it. I am tempted to tell them some of my wife's horror stories, but I just keep it general so they don't get secondhand trauma. My sister also said that she, quote, had to think about the people. And I said, why? Does someone have a problem with Daisy attending? And she said her son, my nephew, and his future wife have spoken to her about it. I said, okay, well, I'll ring them then. To which she hastily replied, no, you can't. They spoke to me in confidence. I said, I just don't understand what you are trying to achieve. And she said, it's not just about you. I have to think of other people. I said, well, you wouldn't be asking Nona if she was bringing her wheelie walker. And she said, actually, Nona might be in a wheelchair, so I'll have to put her at the end of the table. To which I snapped and said, yes, but you wouldn't tell her she's not allowed to bring her wheelchair. And she replied, I didn't say you couldn't bring Daisy. I said back that it was disingenuous to pretend that your questions aren't designed to make us feel like she shouldn't be coming. To which she replied that she couldn't handle the stress that I was causing her, and she said goodbye and hung up. So, am I the a-hole for calling out my sister on all her questions regarding my wife's assistance dog? Am I too sensitive, like my sister said? The next update was June 21st. I ended up ringing my nephew. I have a feeling this is not gonna go well with the sister. Firstly, a few clarifications. One, I'm a woman. Oh, it's a same-sex marriage, so am not her husband, but her wife. 2, her Valium is only 2 milligrams. She took 4 that night, which is 8 milligrams, which means she was nowhere near whacked out of her mind, like some of you suggested. She has 5 milligram tablets as well, but prefers to dose herself in the 2 milligram increments for precisely that reason. 3, yes, I was up dancing the night away, and this does not make me a monster. We rarely go out. And when we do, my wife loves seeing me enjoy myself and letting my hair down, as much of my life is in service to her and her conditions. She gets enjoyment from me having fun too. Plus, the dance floor was like 3 meters from where she was sitting, and I could see her watching me and smiling. 4, please refrain from calling my sister nasty names. Yes, she's out of line here, but she and her kids are my only immediate family and are very important to me. Going no contact would hurt me as much as it would her. Anyway, for the update. I rang my nephew and I asked him if he and his bride had a problem with Daisy accompanying, not that word again, my brain cannot compute it, and asked if they had a problem with Daisy and my wife coming to my wedding, as my sister was suggesting they did. I said that while my sister hadn't directly said Daisy couldn't go, it was being heavily implied that she wasn't welcome. My nephew seemed kind of confused initially and didn't really answer the question other than to say he hadn't really thought about it. I wondered then if he was being too cagey, so I asked him for his total honesty, and he said that when he spoke to his mom, then he stopped and said, actually, Mom spoke to me. He also told her that he hadn't thought about it. He then said he hasn't even asked his fiance yet. I told him my anxiety was really high over this and I just needed to know how he felt. And he said, I guess I assumed Daisy would be going with your wife as they're kind of a package deal. I got quite emotional hearing this and he told me not to worry and that everything must have been blown out of proportion. And so long as my wife was okay. He's always been a really caring kid, which is why I had my suspicions that my sister wasn't being totally honest. Anyway, we chatted some more. He told me to stop crying, otherwise he would cry at work and all his mates would laugh at him, which made me laugh. He said that he would ring his mom, so I guess stuff is going to hit the fan. Oh, is it ever? I have several stress-related conditions because of what I've been through keeping my wife alive, so I really struggle these days with anxiety. I have Minoka? And have had a heart attack in the past from stress. I've been having really bad chest pain from this and stomach upset, so although I was tempted to tell my nephew not to call his mom, I need a resolution one way or another. The limbo is too difficult to manage, so I guess there will be another update. Selfishly, I'm happy for the another update because I want to know what happens between you and your sister. Let's see what people are saying in the comment section because we know they're brutally honest and I love honesty. It's one of my favorite things. Someone commented, as a retired 25-year vet on active duty, you never have to justify your wife's PTSD. If people don't get it, that's their problem. I've been dealing with PTSD for almost a decade. People who have never served a day needs to STFU, which means shut the up. They have no idea. Get her in individual counseling and you guys should get in marriage counseling. Marriage counseling is not only for when the wheels come off, but it can help make a marriage stronger before there becomes issues. Is she on medication? If so, are they helping? If not, get with her doctor and change the meds. I took meds for over 5 years and I was trying to convince myself they were working when they weren't. I finally got with a psychiatrist and changed meds to something that has helped me tremendously. OP responded and said my wife is on medication that helps. It has taken a few years to get it right. And she sees a psychiatrist and a psychologist every fortnight and is linked in with other VA services. She has also given up alcohol and she undertakes an exercise program. It's taken a long time and a ton of effort on her behalf to get to this point and a lot of input and help from me. That is why I'm so protective of her. I know the hell that she's been going through to get to the point where she can be to even consider going to big events. I have tried to encourage her to link up with other veterans, but she finds some people too triggering, and we've had a couple of instances where vets have been inappropriate because they become unwell. She may consider it again, but right now she just wants to keep her bubble small. Next comment. A lot of people feel that people who are not visibly handicapped are just being dramatic by bringing a service dog with them. They would probably forget it if your wife had seizures, but since she doesn't and has a mental issue, they are going to act like she doesn't need the dog. Basically, they're saying her mental conditions don't matter to them and they think she's being a drama queen by having the dog with her. Don't listen to them and just go about your business and don't worry about it anymore. Don't call them and talk to them about it anymore. Tell them the dog is a non-issue and you don't feel it's right for them to bring it up again unless they don't want both of you to come. OP said, my wife has had a seizure in the past from PTSD nightmares, but it was only once. My sister knows that she's been hospitalized. She has seen her not be able to get out of bed for days with migraines, but it seems when my wife is functioning better, all is forgotten. My wife is very good at hiding her illnesses too, but I don't think it's specific to my wife. When I was in the hospital with a perforated bowel, I felt that was minimized by my sister too. My sister is a very complicated person. She has suffered the trauma of losing my mom, like I did, quite young, and her death was quite horrific. My sister has very bad anxiety, and I guess that's where the extreme need for control comes from too. It doesn't stop there. We do have a final update. Hopefully we'll find out how the wedding went and if they ever spoke about you calling the nephew behind her back. Yeah. We're hydrating first though. Let me know what's in your cup, but take a sip of water. Cheers. Look at my cute little snowflake cup. Yee, cute. We have a very lazy bean over here today. Isn't that right? Did you keep me awake all night last night? Yes, you did. You kept waking me up all night, which is probably why you're sleeping all day today. But I'm not, because I have to do things. Yeah, must be nice. Like living just the high life over here. All right, so the final update came 2 months later. We're now at August 19th, 2024. I have been asked for an update quite a few times now, and I'm sorry, but I just haven't been able to face it. So I'll try my best. Here goes. Oh my God, I'm scared. After I spoke to my nephew, my sister rang me, pretty livid that I had spoken to him. She said she never said Daisy couldn't come. I guess technically that's true, but that she didn't understand why Daisy was sometimes with my wife and sometimes not, and that it was all too confusing for her and could I explain it, etc. Firstly, my wife and Daisy are together over 90% of the time. I think one time when we were visiting my sister, we popped down to the local shops briefly and Daisy didn't come. We were out for half an hour tops and my wife was having a good day. My sister then brought up a motorbike event that my wife had mentioned she might be going to later in the year and said that obviously my wife wouldn't take Daisy, so how did I explain that? I said I didn't know about that and I wasn't even sure my wife was going. When I spoke to my wife later on, she said she hadn't decided yet if she was going, as it was months away and she wouldn't know how she would feel. And that if she went, Daisy would be going as they have support vehicles and she could travel on that while my wife was on the bike. And also be with my wife the rest of the time. Obviously, my wife would only attempt this trip if she was in a good place, as riding a motorcycle long distance takes a lot of concentration and energy. Yeah. At this stage, she thinks she's probably not going, but it's nice to dream. Anyways, there was a whole lot of emotional justifying and defending her position and gaslighting. It was exhausting and emotionally draining, and I was an anxious crying mess by the end of it. Trying to defend my wife's medically diagnosed conditions and her medically prescribed assistance dogs. We are in Australia. Assistance dogs actually just means service dogs. My sister said the whole point was she just wanted to be able to discuss it, and that I was just like Auntie, which is someone she hates. So that was just another kick in the guts. I finished up by saying, I feel we have discussed it now, and there was no need for a further discussion. Since then, I've been very panicky, feeling like I won't have a family if we don't get over this, like she turned her kids against me, misrepresented what I was saying. So I kept calling, trying to have friendly, normal chats, trying to get back to the happy place. I was totally out of control and desperate to smooth things over. I ended up on medication just to cope with my anxiety. Sorry if this is all a bit scattered. I'm finding it hard to write about it as I don't want to think about it and spiral. I'm better now, more in control, but it's been a couple months of getting here. Since the argument, we have been civil, but it's been a weird vibe, like a big fat elephant sitting in the room. Today, I was having a conversation with her and things were a little warmer until she started talking about our uncle, saying how dare he decide my niece, her daughter, had a problem with him. He had sent her a text message that she didn't reply to, so he wrote to me saying he didn't mean to upset her. He was just making assumptions. Then she started ranting about how this family has a real problem with that, with people making assumptions about other people's intentions, which I knew was having a go at me and my wife. So I cut her off and I said, I better let you get back to work. And I said goodbye. My sister is never going to admit fault. She's always the victim. Everyone else is always sensitive or just plain wrong. And it's just disappointing and maddening. But there's nothing to be done. It's either I stand up and we fight and she never talks to me again, or I just try to focus on her good points because she does have them and just ignore all of this behavior. Surely, deep down, she must feel bad. Maybe. I can't imagine how she can possibly think her behavior is okay, but maybe she does. All I can do is have boundaries, but try to assert them gently and without too much conflict. On a positive note, I spoke to my nephew again when I rang him for his birthday, and I brought it up again. And he reassured me that he had spoken to his fiance and both of them are happy to have Daisy there. And it's all just been a misunderstanding. And he didn't want his mom and I to fall apart over it. He is such a good kid. He also knows his mom very well, but like everyone, takes the path of least resistance. He even defended her, saying that he probably gave her the wrong impression. He didn't. He's just trying to take responsibility off of his mom, which is something he would do as he wants everyone to get along. I just wish for once that she could sometimes see her behavior as really hurtful and ease up on the judgment and controlling behavior. She never takes responsibility for her harsh words. Does anybody have any ideas what makes someone behave this way? Because I'm stumped. Oh girl, you cannot justify how someone thinks sometimes. I mean, some people just throw the word narcissist in that situation. A lot of people would. You don't have to understand why they think that way. Don't even bother wasting your time trying to understand how some people think, you know? It's not worth it. It's genuinely not worth it, like for your own mental health. Let me know your thoughts and feelings on this one, you guys. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy. See you tomorrow.